Hey guys, welcome back to Legendary Tabletop. I'm Greg, your host, and hope everybody had an amazing Halloween week. And today we're going to do some science fiction themed terrain for your games of 40K, Stargrave, or things like Grimdark Future. Now, I have a cool piece of terrain, a little set that I built when I first delved into terrain making that is so-so, but I didn't want to completely throw it out. Now, sometimes some ideas just need a little bit of refining. Some old ideas just need a little bit of new magic thrown into the mix. So today, we're sort of building some of the new elements of this craft, but we're also going to take some of the old pieces and try to save them, repaint them into a new and better paint job, and create some really unique terrain. And without further ado, let us build the robot graveyard.
All right, welcome to A Voiceover Land, and if you haven't already, if you've been watching and not subscribing, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, an easy way to help us out here at Legendary Tabletop. And this is the piece I'm talking about, built a few years ago, just some toy robots, some Dollar Tree robots, and some foam and some MDF, kind of put together some wire from an old VCR that I had torn apart to get sort of into the gribbly bits, and the MDF sort of warped as everything dried, so I'm gonna create a new base for this and try to solve two of the issues that this old terrain that I built has, and that is one, that the robots are not really buried enough, they're just sort of like laying there, and that there is also not enough height. So I'm gonna take some XPS foam here and use a bunch of hot glue in order to flatten out those pieces and solve the warping here, and then also to stack several pieces of foam on top of each other in order to create a little bit of height. And then I'm gonna get some acrylic caulking here and sort of try to get underneath and to the sides of some of the larger pieces here in order to make our little robots seem a little bit more buried in their graveyard, a little bit more run down, a little bit more ancient, that sort of vibe. And yeah, just sort of, this was one of the first things that I built, so the idea was really cool, and the execution, I'll admit, was not up to snuff, but I think it's good. It's a healthy thing to sit back and, not to get down on yourself, but sort of recognize that maybe now you have some more skills and you could do something better with something old. And we also don't want to just throw stuff out sometimes, so it's nice to sort of just refine our idea. And then now I've spread out some of the caulking and made our robot seem a bit more buried. And then I'm gonna start digging in my plastic bit spots for all sorts of little pieces of junk and plastic, old 3D printed bits, old pieces of kits, old pieces of toys and stuff like that. And I'm just sort of placing it, shoving it into the caulking, trying to be aesthetic as possible, and just pulling out all the little pieces that I can that are just taking up shelving space, and getting rid of a bunch of this stuff and making something cool out of it. Finally getting it together. And you can see here a bunch of stuff that's sort of placed in a way that looks like it could be a robot graveyard or some sort of science fiction dump, that sort of thing. And there's a little guy from Buzz Lightyear just shoved in there, some pieces from Dungeons and Lasers, some model kit scraps, some sprue pieces. And since I'm at it and I got the caulking out and I got the foam and all the bits and things, I'm gonna create a couple more pieces here to complete the set, to add on to the set. And I'm making a little sort of divot here so I can place this little robot torso here into the foam, and then I'm gonna place a bunch of these like foam pieces around to make sort of like a crater. Like this robot just got, messed up and just fell down, blasted in his hole, or fell from the sky, that sort of thing, is buried in this little sort of crater. There's like a little story here. What is the story? I don't know, but it's a cool story. Okay? Don't be so judgmental, Randy. Alright, we're putting this guy in there. We're shoving him deep in there. Putting that robot deep in there, just like I did with your mom. And using some of that caulking too to sort of fill the gaps and like spreading it over the edges and surfaces in order to kind of make this foam a little bit sturdier. I found that this insulation foam is, though it's my favorite thing to carve and make terrain out of, it is not very sturdy. But adding the foam, or not the foam, adding the caulking and letting it cure really solidifies things up, makes it a lot sturdier than just Mod Podge or PVA glue, that sort of thing. And now I'm taking these rock pieces. I have these little rock faces, same issue, they're sort of shallow and not too tall, not well thought out, and I'm gonna take some foam and sort of copy that design language, like that sort of ridged rock look. And later on I'm gonna come back with some caulking and blend those gaps. And this is another little piece that I put together, put some granny grating, a little leg in there, another little tiny little smashed robot toy spread out in a questionable way. All these pieces are coming along now, and so I have 2 new pieces in addition to the 2 old pieces and these 3 rock faces, which, as you can see, I've sort of taken the caulking and used that to fill the gaps and blend all those pieces together with the original MDF and the original foam that I used. And lots of little ridged rocks here, lots of little pieces, bits and bobs. And this would be a great project if you are just overwhelmed with plastic toys and you want to make some terrain, or you have some naughty children, you want to punish them. You can destroy their toys and build little terrain pieces for yourself, and don't tell anyone that you got that idea here. And our piece is coming along, and thanks for watching. Hit that like, hit the subscribe, and we're gonna take a little second here to talk about something exciting coming to the channel.
Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick second and talk about something very exciting coming to the world of Legendary Tabletop. Now, you all know this channel as a place where we talk about tabletop games, things that are related to fantasy and sci-fi, Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer, that sort of thing, one-page rules, that sort of thing. But I have also been a big fan of science fiction my whole life. And a few years back, I actually started to work on my own science fiction IP or intellectual property, as you might have heard. And I wrote 2 different novels to start to explore the lore of this world that I wanted to create and eventually turn into a really cool tabletop war game with its own miniatures, its own terrain, its own special rules and rule books, that sort of thing. But I thought that getting the lore really worked out before all this goes forward and we start working on videos related to that game here on the channel, that the lore is the most important thing. So we have these 2 novels that I have written, and the first one, Apex Outsider Worlds, and it has a sequel, book 2, so to speak, Apex Exodus. And this is a science fiction epic space fantasy novel that is inspired by things like Dune, Hyperion, Star Wars, Games of Thrones, and of course inspired by a lifetime of playing Warhammer, Warhammer 40k, Mordheim, and the like. So I will leave a link below to Amazon, where you can buy both paperback and Kindle versions of these books. And it's a great way to support me and support the channel. And it's very exciting for me to finally put it out there. So thanks for watching my little spiel, and back to the video.
It is the time. Do not lie. We don't put titles up for nothing, people. It's time to paint, and I have a mixture of just some regular old house paint, you know, back of Home Depot, back of Menards here if you're in the Midwest. You save big money. Back of Bunnings, you know, whatever place that you get your hardware. There is a spot where they return old paint, and once in a while you can find a nice big gallon of something like black paint or white paint, great for primer, that sort of thing, and at a mad discount. So I mixed this with some Elmer's glue, PVA glue, and varnish, and I'm gonna paint and seal all the pieces. I've let that caulking cure for about 24 hours, and then I let that black paint mixture cure as well, and then I'm just going to hit it with a dark brown so that I don't have that on camera. We lost that footage, so you'll see the color there, and then I'm going to get this sort of like mocha, coffee, like milk chocolate type color, and I'm going to do an overbrush, and I'm going to hit everything so that basically everything is going to look grungy kind of underneath. So even if I paint the metallics, even if I come back with and do some sort of like rust effects on here, there's going to be this sort of like layer of muck. But I'm not going to go too hard because I want to leave some of that dark brown in the cracks and crevices. And then I have this copper paint and some sort of like a terracotta that I'm going to use to dab and blend a little bit together sort of chaotically over some of the metallic pieces in order to start building a sort of like rusty, corroded element to the metallic pieces of the junk in our robot graveyard. And no really rhyme or reason to the pattern that I'm using. I'm just sort of chaotically dabbing over here and trying to put not too much, not too little, and just enough to sort of trick the eye as you're viewing this from 2 to 3 feet away during your game that this stuff is rusty. But no need to be super duper specific or accurate in a situation like this. This is terrain, this is a toy, and it is supposed to be sort of dilapidated and like junk, so we have a little bit of forgiveness in the way that we paint this. And now I'm taking a sort of silver metallic and doing the same thing, just dabbing along here, dabbing here and there, and hitting some of the edges in order to sort of create more of this metallic, more depth rather to the metallics, and not too much because I want this yucky brown, this desert sort of mixture to come through. But I am going to come back and paint a highlight tan over this, and that will sort of blend all the elements together, which we'll see in the final footage of the video at the end of the video. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back after these messages. No, we're not actually sponsored, but hit the like, hit the subscribe. We want to be the first hobby channel on YouTube to be sponsored by Blue Chew. So hit us up, Blue Chew, hit us up. And now I'm taking a light brown and some yellow and creating this desert color, and I'm trying to match this terrain to a terrain board that I have that is that sort of mouse pad material terrain board that you can buy online or at your local game store. And I have this desert mat, so I'm going to match my alien / robot graveyard here with the mat, and just using this lighter color to sort of brush downward. And then I'm gonna also do a lot of this on the metallic pieces, but I will not be so heavy so that those metallic elements show through. And then I found these tufts that were a disappointing color that I had ordered online. They were supposed to be more of like a tan, and they were sort of this big bird yellow, so I taped them down to a piece of MDF and I just spray painted them to this dark brown, and that dark brown went really well on the piece, and we'll see that in the end. And you can see here the spray painted tufts, and you can see a little bit of that yellow through here on the camera, but once it's glued to the terrain and you're standing a few feet away, you don't see that at all. And here I'm just taking my paint and trying to see if I can match the board, and it does not look like it matches here, but in person it does. And thanks for watching.
All right, friends of the internet, that concludes our very cool build of the robot graveyard. And it's always nice to, number one, reuse something that we might throw out, something secondhand, as people who often consume a lot, people in the hobby like you and myself, no finger pointing, but we do consume a lot of plastic. So it is nice to renew something. And then also, even better, take an old piece of art and give it new life. And I hope you guys enjoyed this build. If you've watched this entire video, thank you. And please hit the like, please hit the subscribe. And without further ado, you know what time it is. It's time to roll that beautiful bead footage.